Now, if you can see, all the ports are in stop status. So this stop status indicates that each and every port is up and running. Means all the ports are occupied and FireFlink client is completely running. So before triggering the execution, we have to make sure two things. One is FireFlink client should be open in our local machine, and in this control panel section, all this port should be in stop status, which indicates FireFlink client is completely up and running. Once these two conditions are satisfied, now we can go to the FireFlink platform and we can click on this run button. So this will trigger the execution in my local machine. Now, how does the FireFlink know that it has to trigger the execution in my machine? For that, so we will set the default machine for a project. So here if you can see, there is a configuration section. I'll just click on this configuration, where I have something called as run configuration. And again, we have multiple options, among which we have environment configuration. I'll just click on this environment configuration. So it will navigate me to the environment configuration. Here, if you can see, Steve Anderson, Windows 11 Enterprises, and it is displaying the version as well. So how come this particular detail is reflecting here? Why? Because I have installed FireFlink client in my local machine. So once you install this FireFlink client in your local machine, it is going to read your computer data and it is going to display the same here. Your computer name and your computer version, everything is going to be displayed here. And here, if you can see, another one name is reflecting. How come this particular name is reflecting here? Because I have added this person as a user. Once you add a person to your license as a user, you can access their machine for execution purpose. So whenever you get new options here, it is meaning that you have added a new person and that person machine you can access for execution. Now, if you can see, by default, it is selected this particular machine. So it is not selected by default. I have selected it. Now, if I trigger the execution, so when we trigger the execution in this particular project, now if I go to test development and if I go to the particular script, and if I now click on this particular run button here, the execution will be triggered in which machine? Not in my machine. Why? Because in the project configuration, in environment configuration, this particular machine has been set as a default machine. Correct? So this is not my machine, whereas this Steve Anderson is my machine. If I want to see the execution, if I want to trigger the execution in my machine, then what I have to do? I have to select this particular machine as my default machine. So I'll just click on this radio button, of which it is giving me a caution message, change default machine. Are you sure you want to change default machine to Steve Anderson? How do you want to proceed? I'll say set as default. So now I'm getting a success message and my Steve Anderson machine has been set as a default machine. Now if I go to test development and now if I go to this particular script, if I click on this run button, the execution will be triggered in which machine? My local machine. Let me just observe that. I'll just click on this run button. So once you click on run button, if you can see, we are getting this execution dashboard. And here the execution is already triggered. So here it is navigating to the SalesForce application and immediately close the browser also. Now here, if you can see, for each and every execution we are going to trigger, an execution ID will be generated. So here if you can see, multiple execution IDs has been generated because we have already executed this particular scripts, means other particular scripts in this particular project. So these are the previous execution IDs. So for each and every execution that we are going to trigger, an execution ID will be generated and it will be having multiple columns. If you can see, this having multiple columns, let us discuss. First is execution ID. As we discussed, for each and every execution, an execution ID will be uniquely generated. And what is execution name, which is nothing but the script which you are trying to execute. It will give the script name which you are trying to execute. And machine name. Machine name is nothing but the FireFlink client machine name. It is going to show us in which machine the execution has been triggered. And total number of scripts. For the execution, how many scripts you are executing? For I have executed one single script, right? So it is giving the number as 1. And run initiated by, who has initiated this particular run, that detail. And run initiated on. So when the execution was being triggered. And it is giving execution start time. So once it is triggered, when the execution is going to start, that time. And here it is saying status. what is the status of the execution. Now, since I have added only 3 steps, the execution was faster. And here, if you can see, it is saying awaiting client status. So what is the meaning of this awaiting client status? So we have different status of execution. In detail explain means which we'll be seeing in detail in the in the further sessions. So here we have actions. So what are these actions is for? So here with respect to that status is displayed, we will get the respective actions icon, which we will explore once we explore the different types of status here. So now if you can see, the execution is already over, but still it is saying awaiting client status. Why? Because we have to sync the status. So I'll use this particular sync icon over here. So I'll just click on it, which will sync the status and is giving me the current status, which is getting passed. So as I told you, in FireFlink, we will get step level result, script level result, correct? This is a script level results, which we can see in the execution dashboard. Now, if I want to see the step level result, I can click on this past status, which will navigate me to the results page, where I can expand this particular registration and this shopper, where I can find the script level result. Once I click on the script, if you can see, I'm getting step level result. Open browser, maximize browser, and navigate to URL. So here we can see this in results page also, and here means we can see in the test script also. Let me just go to test development. Let me navigate to the specific script. Here if you can see, I'm getting step level result. Open browser is passed. Browser window is maximized. Navigated to URL shopper stack, and I'm getting script level result. So in this video, we have seen the prerequisite for doing the script execution. So in the further video, we will discuss about how to add the elements. So let me discuss this in detail in our next session. Thank you.